Hi, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both sometimes watching a specific film. So, the specific film I'm reviewing today is called The Secret Kingdom. This Australian movie is now playing in select theaters and simultaneously streaming online. It's rated PG and is an hour and 38 minutes. My overall movie review mom grade is a B. I actually really enjoyed this movie. And I know it's unusual for a film critic to give the score at the beginning. So let me explain how I came up with that score. So I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and even some recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that I think you might also like. All right, ready to dive in? In a nutshell, the story is about anxious Peter, who's 12 years old, and his little sister, Verity, who's 9. And they're taken underground by a garrison of armored pangolin. So, what is a pangolin, you ask? Well, you're going to have to watch the movie to find out, as well as discover a bunch of other very creative creatures. The imaginative film was directed and written by Matt Drummond. So well done, Matt. I mean, what an imagination. There were a lot of things that I really liked about this movie. First of all, the young actors did a really great job, I thought, especially considering how young they are. They are Sam Everington and Alila Brown. Maybe it's Alila. Either way, that name is really pretty. Anyway, I thought she was totally adorable. For a movie about imagination, the movie is extremely creative. The world building is inventive and fun. If children love solving riddles, right? And so this movie has quite a few to figure out for the audience and, of course, the characters in the movie. Children will be able to relate to at least one of the characters in the story. And there are quite a few creatures that you can relate to, and then some humans as well. And speaking of humans, I think adults will enjoy the visual and spoken humor that was intended just for them. Have you ever watched a movie for children and it drives you nuts as an adult? You're just like, oh. But this one I thought is family friendly and has something for all ages. Ultimately, there are some positive messages, and again, it is a family friendly movie. Keep watching, by the way, during the final rolling credits for a super short, funny clip. Also, there is some French spoken in the movie, and I've been trying to learn French on Duolingo. I'm on a 176-day streak. Woohoo! Très bien. Anyway, I was super excited about that little element of the movie. It's the mother who must be French because she speaks a little bit of French, but you don't have to speak French to actually know what she's saying because she repeats it in English, and it's not crucial to the story at all. So, considering this movie's very small budget, the visual effects are pretty decent. Now, I've read some reviews with people saying, oh, they were terrible. And I'm like, but if you didn't have that much money to spend, they did a great job. And the fantasy was a very ambitious movie to undertake. So I was impressed. Now, it's not, Hollywood blockbuster quality, but for a cute little Australian film, I think they did a great job. So critics have been really harsh on this sweet little film, and it's not going to win any awards, but it's also not as bad as not everybody is saying, some people are saying. I definitely enjoyed its creativity and spunk. Now, that being said, there were a few things I didn't like or just thought could have been done better. For example, sometimes the voices don't quite match up with the characters' mouths. The audio is off a little bit. And it's heartbreaking to watch this young boy suffer so much from his anxiety that he can hardly function at the end of the movie. Now, if you have kids who are depressed or have incapacitating anxiety, this might be a really good movie for them to watch because he slowly develops some confidence and is able to do amazing things by the end of the movie. That's one of the strong messages of it. The movie doesn't always make logical sense. We're constantly being told new rules for this mysterious world, which is convenient, but it also requires a lot of exposition scenes where people are explaining stuff. And then you're like, well, how'd they come up with that rule? So just, just go with the flow. Now, we're not really given a backstory on any of these characters other than the children have moved to a new home. The father and the mother have lost their previous home. And that's pretty much all that we know. And then the adventure ensues. The movie just dives right in. There are some bad acting moments, but especially among the children, that's to be expected. They're children. And then with some of the adult characters or even the creatures, sometimes it's a little over the top or just not fantastic as all, but still enjoyable. So let me give you some tips for parents other than this movie being family friendly. There are people and creatures in perilous situations, lots of destruction, but there's no profanity, nothing super scary, I didn't think. Now, all my kids are mostly all grown up. And so I think that when they were little, they would have gotten a kick out of this movie. Um, it feels a little old fashioned and nostalgic. It's not like current cutting edge modern, I wouldn't say, for what that's worth. So I know a lot of kids get very spoiled with all of the incredible movies that we have out. And so it'll kind of take you back to simpler days. Some of the themes that are illustrated well are fear, anxiety, courage, self-confidence, using your wits, imagination, of course, and the healing magic of just being on an adventure. Have you ever gone on a trip and you saw and did things, tasted things that you just had never done before, and you came home invigorated? Yeah, so this movie will kind of do that for you. It'll give you that feeling of adventure and excitement. So let me share some interesting lines and funny lines with you. Whenever I watch movies, I write them down simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste and feel for the movie. I have them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can check them all out there, but I'll share a few of them with you right now. So one of the funny lines is spoken by David Drummer, who's played by Chris Gabarty. His character says, he's the father and he's talking to the son, and he says, I once saved your mother from a frog prince, which you have to see the movie, but I thought it was a cute line and kind of a funny line too. And it instantly shows you the personality of this playful father. Pling, who is voiced by Darius Williams, his character, who says, peril is not a word one wants to hear at great heights, which is true because they're in some dangerous situations way up high. And then there's this character whose name is Ergo, and he's played or voiced by Roland Holmes. And he says, there will be no counting of the sheep, meaning nobody's going to fall asleep. We got to, figure this out. And then another character, well, the same one from earlier, played by Chris Gabarty or voiced by Chris Gabarty. He says, that's the smell of inspiration. And these little creatures, some of them are meant to be the inspiration or the muse for these human characters. And so I thought that was really cute. And then there are some really inspirational, profound, and insightful lines. One is spoken by Lumen. Actually, as I look at my notes, a lot of these are spoken by a character named Lumen. And he says, power come from quiet mind. Now, obviously, he doesn't speak in perfect English, but that's kind of a theme that runs throughout the story and a message that these young children constantly tell themselves. Power come from quiet mind, focus. And he later says, open mind, let the flow. That's a really good advice. And then I love this piece of advice from Verity, the little girl. She's again she's played by Alila Brown. Anyway, she says, just because you're scared doesn't mean you're not brave. And I loved that line, especially to teach to children. I think they think you're brave if you're not afraid. No, it's the opposite. You're afraid and yet you still take action. And again, for children who might be struggling with anxiety, say it's okay to be afraid or nervous or depressed or whatever the feelings that they are having are. just keep moving forward. That's courage. So I love that that was part of the story and one of the big themes of it. And then I'll leave you with just one more line. This is spoken by the young boy who's the protagonist in the story, played by Sam Everingham. And he says, I own me. And I love that feeling of empowerment when a child can feel like I have control of my life. That's one of the hardest things for children is they don't have control. Their parents tell them what to do, the kids tell them what to do. And so as a parent, if you can instill that sense of, I can make decisions when you, for example, let's say you're going to cook dinner, instead of saying, this is what we're having for dinner, you could say, would you like me to cook this or that? Assuming you have time and flexibility to do that and the ingredients. And then that child can make a choice and feel some confidence. And when you give your children more choices, they develop more and more confidence. So they know they can make good choices. And then if they make a bad choice, then if it's a small decision and the consequences are equally small, then within the home environment, that's a safe place to make mistakes and to learn how to choose wisely and consider consequences and that kind of stuff. Oh, that's the mother in me coming out. All right, so let me give you some recommendations for some other movies that I instantly thought of as I was watching this one. So this is an oldie but a goodie. It's called The Never Ending Story. And I kind of got the same vibes. It's this fantastical land with various creatures and children who learn important life lessons. Another similar one is The Chronicles of Narnia, the very first one in the series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Of course, based on the fantastic book series by C.S. Lewis. And these have been turned into live action / some computer animation CGI stuff. Really nice adventure story also to teach children confidence. And if you're Christian, there is a very strong underlying Christian theme about Jesus Christ. Now, if you're not Christian, you may not even notice it at all. I mean, it's there if you're looking for it, the symbolism that's built into the story. And then the last one is probably the newest of those three. It's called The Bridge to Terabithia, or Bridge of Terabithia. Anyway, also some little fantastical adventure moments in that one, and sweet, again, teaching children good lessons to be learned. These are all unique in that they were teaching solid themes and values, whereas a lot of the animation or children's movies that we're seeing today are so laden with political agendas that it's you're never quite sure what's a safe movie to watch, depending on which way you swing on the political spectrum, right? So anyway, I recommend those, and let me know if you watch them. Comment down below, and when you get a minute, run over to my Instagram page as Movie Review Mom, but also my author page, which is Trina Boice. You can learn a little bit about my books, and I've got some parenting books in there as well. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.